be starting with the today's website's meeting, and we have a few agenda items. And if anyone wants to discuss about anything apart from the ones mentioned in the meeting minutes, then please add up into the list. And we'll be beginning off with the first topic for today is about the design for Meshmap page on Layer5.io, which is by Joel. So I think in absence of Joel, Lee would take up on the topic and we can discuss about it.
Yeah, very good. I'm gonna share these meeting minutes for just a moment. I'll say that the community has been working on Meshmap, which is a plugin into Meshery. And well, the Meshmap, that plugin has entered into an alpha testing mode. And so there have been a few external users invited to participate in that program, and they have for a couple of weeks. We've closed down the alpha program mode and are preparing to open up a beta much more broadly, and to essentially announce that at KubeCon is to announce the availability of beta for Meshmap. Meshmap is it looks a bit like the mock-up that's on Layer5.io. It's kind of the first place where we visually depict Meshery. So this is one of the old mock-ups for it. And anyway, now it's a functional thing. It's ready to go into beta. People will be, it's a plugin where people can spend a lot of time designing service meshes, running them, understanding them just within there. And so it is deserving of its own page or its own set of explanation about what it does and how to use it. And so that's what this item is about. Joel, if you haven't met him, he's relatively new to the community, focuses on UX, and had done a design on Meshery.io. And so I was asking if he was interested in doing a design on Meshmap, which he had said he is. He's looking for and understanding what the tool is and what designs are appropriate. So he's not on today's call, so we'll probably move past it.
I'll help him if he wants to know about. Like, I know a few things about what Meshmap does. Probably.
Oh, yeah, please. Josh, that would be great. Yeah. Yeah, and the page that we're looking for, I mean, we have nothing. I mean, so almost anything that describes it and is better than nothing. It would be just yet another one of the Meshery pages. So we have like 3 or 4 today. We have 3 or 4.
We have 3.
Okay. So how it works, the getting started, and then the overview. Nice. That's what that's about. And then, yeah, the next topic up, since Anita is here and since Nikhil is here, going through the 2 initiatives that you guys have been leading, it's probably the right thing to do, is to give those a deep dive and see if it isn't time to, what, if anything, is left to put the learning paths out there. So I'm going to grab this door again. It is burning up in the room that I'm in. I'm going to go open this door. I'll be right back before I start sweating profusely.
So have we started with the learning parts? Like, have we released it yet, or are we yet to release it?
Still kind of hidden under, I mean, technically these are public pages. They're still kind of hidden in so much as I don't think that there's really anything linking to them. So Nikhil, this will be like the in, I don't know, 20-second like review session for this. And I'm hoping that this one feels better. Like I'm hoping that we're able to identify just a couple of items to tweak, and maybe Nikhil, what we might do is, well, what's probably referred to as a soft launch, which is release the pages and point some people to them, but not make a big stink about it. In so much as if we only have if we only have one path and a couple of courses, we might wait before we, do a big release. But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so mostly I think is some textual content update is needed from your, like as you see, we have this subtitle beneath learning part, which says learn how to service mesh dot learn how to run, and then history comma install is clear and deploy something which is not exactly correct. So those things needs to be updated. Apart from that, if you go to the learning part, we have some textual update under prerequisites and each of the cards for install mystery, learn mystery, and manipulation. Currently, Layer5 currently politics is in use for that. And we can also have small descriptions for each course, like a course on advanced specific. Like we can change this line to something or a more brief idea of what the course is about. And since we are not supporting this bookmark option, we can even hide this logo as of now, because this creates the illusion that the user can bookmark out the course.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Apart
Let
from
me.
that, go ahead.
Well, or yeah, I think you were going to say sort of apart from that, the structure is there. There's one of the courses is there. Let me take it from the top and see if I can verbally walk you through this to make sure that I'm understanding the flow. I think I partially get confused as a user as I drill in. So as a user, in concept, I think, we would, well, taking it from the very top, like the user goes to layer5.io, they figure out that they want to learn some things. So they might click on this high level /learn. They're looking through the various resources available. They figure out, there's these learning paths, and I can go learn. I can go through a series of labs, a series of courses along this path, this journey. Maybe one is aligned with being a developer, or one is aligned with being an operator, but they were to click on, they click on one, or they click on, they either click on one or they just click on learning paths, the word, or so they would be taken to this overview. They go, learning paths, yeah. And then they begin to see the fact that there's one or more learning paths available. This is the one that's available today, Mastering Service Meshes for Developers. There's 2 courses in it. Oh, great. There's a little bit of just kind of a description about what to expect within a learning path. And then some aggregate statistics about all of what's available to you through the various learning paths and the courses within them that are available. Great. And then right here, it might make sense that we give this a different background color, just to the extent that this is kind of a generic call to action, or that this is sort of separate and general from learning paths.
So we can either have the discuss call out, which is a generic one.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be really good. But good. So as a user, like I'm tracking, like I'm getting it. It's like, okay, this is intriguing. It might, I don't know. Don't. I'm just. These next couple of sentences, I'm talking out loud. Please don't take it as that we have to go change it. But but so yeah, there'll be a brief description here. I'll see, I can actually navigate and drill into the learning paths here. And it's after that that I get a description of what they are. I wonder if the description of what they are wouldn't necessarily come first, and then the navigating into them would come in part because if users, if they were to first come here and they're like, oh, great, there's this available and this available, they either choose to drill in or they're like, yeah, maybe I'll come back and, oh, okay, what is it? Oh, okay. And they read about it. And then they're like, yeah, I want, that sounds good. I want to do that. They have to go back up to do it. And that's just so just thinking out loud about the flow. Okay, so then as a user, I'm like, yeah, hey, this is the one. Let's get into this learning path. All right, so this is the overview of mastering service meshes for developers. So if I want to take this learning path, there's some prerequisites I should understand. I should probably have Meshri installed, make sure that I understand what that is. Okay, now within the learning path, there's a couple of courses. I'll first take the intro to service meshes generally, and then I'll get into some advanced concepts. Okay. Now, in order to control this is just ordered alphabetically, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we could put like a 1 hyphen and a 2 hyphen or something just to sequence them.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if we were to change the name of them, that would affect, I mean, yeah, or I guess we could, we might want to think about that because I think it would affect the actual URL. And it would say 1. Maybe that's okay that it says 1, the number here. But this is working well. Like maybe is there a construct that we can use already?
No, not that. It's not built up that way. It's specifically for that component inside. So
Okay.
you can't really use that.
Yeah, this could be.
The reason I think we shouldn't add a number beside the course name itself is because we are only showing one course in this page. So adding a number beside it doesn't.
Okay, yeah. Wait, say it again. We're only showing like 2 courses.
Over here, we can show 1 hyphen advanced course and 1 hyphen introduction and 2 hyphen advanced course. But when we go into one of the pages, that is suppose advanced course or introduction, then showing a 1 just ahead of introduction to service meshes doesn't make much sense because we have only one course which is being displayed in this.
Right. Yeah. Oh, showing like a 1 hyphen introduction to service meshes doesn't really. Yeah, I agree. Agreed. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's actually like, yeah, that makes, I agree. Right here. So within the course, there are 8 chapters within this course. Now, the first chapter, getting started, it does have, these are numbered, but the name of the chapter doesn't include the number. So I guess I was wondering if we're able to use that same approach where we're not including the number in the name, but the number is separately captured, I'm assuming as part of the front matter, or?
No, it's not part of the front matter. We are doing it using JS.
Oh, okay. Okay. So on this particular page itself, we're just statically enumerating the sequence, the order. Okay.
Correct. We can even number them in this page as 1 and 2. It won't be an issue.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Instead of alphabetical, we can just statically number them. That'll work. Nice. Okay, good. All right. Let me kind of go back for a second. Okay. Yeah, great. So I'm a developer. I'd like to master service meshes. Good. All right. Now for the learning path itself, I'm going to need to, it might and this isn't necessarily a bunch of structural change or things that I can't go affect. It might be that we would describe the course a little, or the learning path a little bit. Here's why you would do it. Here's what you would get out of it. And I kind of have more of that description. We might also say, hey, prerequisites to starting the learning path in order to be successful. A, here's things that you probably need to know. Just, B, here's things that you would expect to learn. And C, like here's literal like tangible prerequisites. So it's not just prerequisite knowledge, but like, is your system ready and do you have the right resources? So here's these prerequisites. Nice. And it could be the case that like there's still just a single prerequisites section. Part of it is like, what prerequisite knowledge do you have to have? And then part of it is like, what prerequisite tooling you have to have. And so, nice. Okay, well, good. All right. So the learning path is comprised of 2 courses. And so, we might end up including a bit of a description to say, to explain, the fact that courses are made up of multiple chapters. And a lot of that I think is described when people drill in. It's sort of like, oh, this is the course. It's made up of 8 chapters. This is where to get started. This is the overview of what that's going to be. So we don't want to be too repetitive. It has always been my concern that people will lose their way as they drill in, because they go from this high level learning paths to an overview of the learning paths, or I'm sorry, an overview of a specific learning path. They choose a specific course. Then they get an overview of that specific course. They then understand that as part of that, there are chapters within a course. Okay, so let me get started on the first chapter of this course. And good. And so if they're paying attention, they'll understand that like, oh, okay, I'm on chapter 1, or these are my chapters, my 8 chapters that I was just looking at. And now here's my steps, or like, here's the content within here. Is that, I want to do this really quick. Oh, that's awesome. I wonder if they lose their way. We have good information architecture. We have good, healthy individual drill down, like stepwise walking people through overview of the learning paths, overview of a specific learning path, overview of a specific part of the overview of the specific learning path is an overview of the courses. So then you go into one course and you get a course overview with the chapters, and you drill into a chapter, and then from there, like in there, you're in learning mode more or less. Like then you go into a chapter and so this is a nice navigator. Like, do we need another navigator? I guess is what I'm wondering is like, if like one thing that would familiarize people and they would get a sense of an understanding of where they are. Maybe it might be like, if right here, they're looking at the introduction to service meshes hands-on, if underneath, like there's a description right here, either underneath this or within this, I know this is going to sound a little weird maybe, but if that same navigator, and it doesn't necessarily have to be functional, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but if this same component was included, like if there's a course snapshot, people might have a better sense of where they are. Like if you usually like, I'm probably the worst of the, or not the worst, but I represent a lazy visitor very well. So, okay, learning paths. Yeah, great. Yeah, I this looks comprehensive. This is great. I should probably take what these people have. Or, I should probably do a learning path. So I click to drill in. Oops. When I drill in, I'm like, yeah, oh, they've got a couple here. Like, I'm not going to read this because it's down low. So, and I'm just seeing where I can drill in already. I'm like, yeah, it is on, like here, it's like, we might have to change. I don't know. We have to figure something out. Either this is beautiful, but it does tell the person that it's about console. And so we have to figure out if that's, right now, that's not the right thing to do. It might be that we would show multiple if we know which meshes are supporting it. But anyway, so as a lazy user, I probably from there say, okay, I'm gonna drill in. All right.
We can also have a generic, like a learning path image or graphics for that. Though that will be another task to create one. So that is
yeah, if we do, it might make sense that it was, yeah, it's either it's a Meshery logo or it's just kind of the generic, like we have this generic looking, this service mesh thing. It might be something like that.
Yeah.
And
then all the learning paths that when we add in the future will have the same image, and we won't need to add other images also.
Yeah, which, right. Which is something we can reflect on over time and figure out if it's just way too generic. Like if there's two paths, if there's only two paths, which there might only be for quite some time, it's not an abuse of the same image because there's only two of them. So, okay, so people drill in. I think this is good, like an overview, understanding of what it is. It might be that people start to lose their way because there isn't an understanding of the fact that if they wanted to go back to, there's no sub navigation going on. Like if they want to go back and look at what paths are available, it's from here they kind of, I start to get lost. I'm like, okay, am I in the course now? Or I didn't, okay, there's courses. So I go in and I don't know, I mean, this is great because now I'm like, okay, hey, I'm in the thing. I'm at some stage of being drilled in. And if I want to go back and look at courses, great. If we just had a link here that said learning paths, I think that would really help with the understanding of
like instead, like we had a table of content previously, a complete navigator which lists down the prerequisite and courses. But since it was not going with the US, in which this page had a table of content, but the next page didn't, so we planned on commenting it out for the time. So we can only have a back button itself for that button for that page, so that if the user wants to go to that previous page, they can still use that.
Thank you. I think that'd be helpful. Refresh my memory. The thing that we have hidden right now, is that pretty similar to, is that like a small version of this?
No, the next page after that. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
The process after you have this stage. So you wait for 10 minutes.
Cool. All right. Oh, hey, welcome, Festus. Nice to have you. Festus, I muted you just because there's a lot of noise in the background, but feel free to unmute when you're ready. All right. Good. Yeah, Nikhil, that sounds great. I mean, like just a small back thing. It will probably make a world of difference. Nikhil, is it possible that it's easy enough to add learning paths and then the chevron and then courses so that people see that they're 2 levels deep at this point?
Yeah, we can do that. But only up till this page, because if we do it for next page, then the path will become a bit longer. And it won't.
Yeah, right. And they've got, yep, that sounds good. Yeah, because at this point they're like zoomed all the way in, and there is a back button. They can, but to your point, they don't necessarily need the full trail.
Yeah.
So nice. And then from here, so we've got some good components, if you will. So we've got the ability to do like Lighthouse on images that are in the content. People they step through a chapter. If that, oh, nice. Yeah, get the next chapter going on. If the particular chapter includes an interactive lab, do we have an example of what that looks like? We might not. This is not
Interactive lab, as in the one on O'Reilly that we have.
Yeah, like to the extent that there was an interactive lab that was covering just a particular portion of what people are doing. I wonder if that's easy enough to embed in the page itself.
If that's something that we use for this lab, then just including the link, like the iframes, including that iframe.
Okay.
But do we have them? I doubt. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that we've broken them down. Yeah, I think that the ones that are here, yeah, the short answer is probably like, yeah, that we don't have interactive labs that are broken down specifically to what they need to focus on. I hope that it's a challenge that we have later, or I hope that we have some labs that are just specific to a chapter. But fair enough. Okay. And then when we switch between technologies, we're also noticing that the chapters may or may not be the same, which is appropriate because the content may or may not, like these are different service meshes. So it's not, they won't always have the same content. And this is great. Like this is real, right? I mean, this first course, Introduction to Service Meshes, is the real deal. It takes you through Istio and it takes you through Linkerd. And the content, I mean, it's actual content. The content I think is accurate. And okay, so when someone gets to the end of a given course, so here you're done, or here's how you clean up your lab. On the Istio, if you get to the end of the course, okay, you're done, or okay. So we could, if we wanted to we could add another, it's just content, so there's no structural change needed, but we could add a wrap up, like, something that says congrats, or like what suggestive of what next steps are. Like, hey, in this case, you'd want to continue to the second course, to the advanced concepts. And right now, the advanced concepts material, it's just a repeat, I'm assuming, or no, or is this the advanced Istio course? It is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh man, that's great.
The initial two pages are, I think, similar to the introduction part, because that hosting was the setup of the application. After that, it changes.
Which yeah, which can be helpful, because there'll be some people who will come and they'll say they're already familiar with, they think that they already know the intro stuff, so they jump to the advanced. But if they jump into just like halfway through advanced without getting mesh reset up, they can be in trouble. So Nice. Yeah, good. I think there were only two, if I recall, I think there's only two things that we said maybe we would change, and that is that we would add another crumb to the trail here, that we would add on the main page, we would swap out the call to action to call out the discuss forum. That we would number the courses in the same way in which we're not actually adding the number to the title of the course. We're just using this same function property.
Yeah. I've listed out all of them in the meeting for my video.
Nice.
Like while you were saying, I was noting the notes so that I don't forget it up later.
Nice. There's one, while we're on the call outs, it's on the course overview. It might be nice if we just swap out this button with the other discuss.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone else have comments for Nikhil on course overview, or I mean on the learning paths?
So I just had a question, like you mentioned to add one more level when we move to the courses page. So do you mean that we have structure like a breadcrumb here?
Yeah, a bit, but that it would just be, it might just be static. It might just say learning paths, and then,
okay.
Yeah. So that,
so
yeah,
we do not link it, right?
It would be nice if it was linked so that people can either go back to up one level or up two levels.
Okay.
Which actually, I think the answer, I think the question that you asked, I probably answered incorrectly. It's like, yes, it would be a cookie crumb trail. But kind of two levels deep. I mean, this is like, there's a couple of items there's some content to refine a little bit, but even at that, there's a ton of accurate content that's here. And this is kind of ridiculous. This is really fantastic what we have. There are competitors that have tried to create academies, and they're not as nice as this. This is really nice. Lee needs to, or if someone else wants to try, they certainly can, but Lee needs to create an end of chapter. I'm sorry, an end of course chapter. And there's a little bit of a consideration. I think it was for V2. It's like it's an end of learning path. Like it's either certification or the certification is something we'd have to do some questions about, but anyway, at least for now, we could do the end of course chapter just to say, great, to tell people as a summary to recap what they learned and tell them to move to the next course or whatever it is, whatever their next steps are. Oh man, this is great. Okay. Let's go to the community handbook. That's okay. So Anita is sitting in kind of a similar bucket where she has had like Nikhil, like a seemingly unending initiative that is has for a while been more or less probably, about ready. Anita, is that how you feel about it? Like, do you feel like, are there significant items in the handbook that you think need to be addressed before we just start to switch over and just start to kind of point people to it?
The handbook looks good. I actually wanted to suggest one more thing. Yeah, but I think everything that I pictured for the handbook is coming into place, which is actually very nice. I just went over the repository overview and the project, and that was updated recently as well. So everything is coming out nice, except I was anticipating a menu bar or an outline by the right as well, because right now we're just scrolling through each page. We don't know the content that exists in that particular page. So if I'm looking for badges section, or I'm looking for the contributor section, and I know that it's going to be either under contributions or community, but I'm not sure where. Yeah, that's the table of content by the right would actually help me navigate whenever I'm in one of these sections, something like that. I think that's the only improvement I would suggest for this. Other than that, everything looks good so far.
Nice. So just okay, good. To give, to reinforce what you're saying is like, to use the docs as an example, there's
yes.
Gotcha.
Like this.
The in-page navigate. This is the navigator between pages, and this is the in-page navigator. So, got you. Yeah, right. Like, I wonder if there's a good, like this might be a decent example of, if you're looking at membership programs, you're like, yes. So I did want to learn more about the LFX program. Okay, where is that? Oktoberfest. Okay, here it is. Like that they would have potentially just been able to nav within the page here. So, yeah. Okay, so we've got this logo makes some of the other logos look not so nice. They did a great job. The colors are nice. Actually, maybe it makes our colors look bad. Like that's a nice vibrant pink, and we've got this maroonish. Huh? Wait, I think, okay, maybe we did that because it was the Hacktoberfest colors, so maybe that's not our fault. I don't know. Okay. Let's blame it on that.
They updated the logo this year, so if you want to update that, that's fine. So the Hacktoberfest, it looks cooler this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then we left the old ugly colors in there. So, yikes. Okay. Oh, there's actually something kind of interesting on that page. If we go back, so if we're looking at, so it's interesting. So we're here in this structure /program/Hacktoberfest, and there is a bit of an, well, I guess not. I was going to say there's a navigator. Oh, there's a year-over-year navigator. So if we go to, and it's not actually working because there should be a Hacktoberfest 2020. Huh. It's not that this isn't, I don't think it's that this isn't working. I think it's that whoever put the pages together didn't. So this is bad. Like we're on the 2020 page and it says 2021. If we go to, oof, yeah. This is also, that's not good. So we should probably take a note about this defect, is that we're not showing 2020. But to get back to the community handbook, I didn't realize I had switched from my local host to where are we? Okay, back to the mentorship programs. Okay. Nice. So do we only, right now, we only go 2 levels deep, or like this is the overview, and then we go into a page. And yeah, and then Anita, you were thinking maybe that 3rd level of sort of intra page navigation. Okay. Nice. Oh, hey, good. We actually have an explanation of what these things are. That's great. Nice. Okay, and of the roles too, right? Community guidelines. So here's the guidelines. So do these things. Here's things that we don't allow. And then here, we don't really have an intro or so we start talking about roles, which is great. And how people can be badged with respect to the things that they're doing or have done. But there's kind of yeah, we might want to create another section for that. Like in concept, we've got guidelines, then we've got roles, and then actually here we have like recognition. And under recognition, we would probably also talk about invites to the GitHub org. And maybe part of that is like, what does that mean when you, what permissions do you get when you are, you know what, so in this case, you get triage permissions over the issues. And that would kind of play into the role of a contributor. Contributor ladder. So what does it mean? What does it mean to do this? I wonder, so we're kind of covering these twice. I wonder if maybe the thing we would do is move these descriptions, which are helpful descriptions, to maybe explaining more of what a meshmate is, because people can see in hard terms, like, here's what a meshmate does, but what is a meshmate? Like, maybe we should move this info over to this page. Or, you know, link between them or something. Good. At the repository overview, this is pretty great. Like, it's a great reference. There's a lack of, well, so good. So we've got the links to the, yeah, links to the sites. It's good. And we've got links to the GitHub repos. This is great. Okay. So I was thinking, oh no, we don't have links to each of these individually, but we do. In terms of people's ability to nav this, it might be easier if it's on the left-hand side. Because if someone's reading through and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, the Meshri Istio adapter. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd like to, like, the link is, anyway. It'll also, if it's on the left-hand side, I guess we have statically sized tables. So these are generally aligned, so that works out. If they weren't statically sized, it would be harder to navigate because, yeah. But good, this is it is exactly that. It's just an overview, calls out the languages, projects, and then here's an actual explanation of the projects themselves. Nice. Cool. That's cool. mentorship programs. Now, to Anita's point about the intra page navigation, do you all think that it would be overkill or not?
I think it will be overkill.
Oh, on the intra page? Okay. What about this? On some of the sites, the S&P site in specific, there's a to the top link. I wonder if that isn't a happy medium potentially, that if there's it's not quite the same thing, but if there's an to the top button, like when someone reaches the bottom of a given page, this navigator on the left follows them. So that's quite helpful. So they reach the bottom, like, okay, that's all the, okay, what, and then they're sort of, they might be saying, okay, what's next? To which they might come back and nav here. Or if we know that these are sequenced, maybe we would have a, a back or forth or because we're just kind of walking through a collection. And so, well, by the way, we did have someone fill in, and actually it was Zane had filled in the incident report form. And I don't think we have a link to that here. There's an incident report form that I think we mentioned this previously.
It's on the discuss forum, but that link exists.
Got you, but it might not have made it into the handbook.
Okay.
Oh, under under community, that might make sense. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it might make sense to have them there. Man, look at this. Who is this person? They're very consistent. This is fantastic. It's really great. I had been so nervous that my ugly mug was just going to be the only one that was going to be on here, and it was just, but this is great because we've got lots of other folks chiming in. So Anita, there were a couple of things mentioned that might make sense to do. Nikhil, did you have any thoughts about the intra page navigation? Some pages, I think, kind of to Josh's point, are maybe fairly, like this page is just a single heading, if you will. So there's not much to sub nav, at least in this current design. Other pages, it's a good one. Like this one, it does have a number of headers, so it might be helpful to be able to nav the headers, or not. I mean, I don't, Nikhil, any thoughts?
Not much.
Okay.
Mostly what has been already discussed. So nothing different.
Okay.
I can.
Anita, do you think, I wonder if, what do you think about a back to the top button? Is that at all helpful? Is that just, maybe it would be silly because the back to the top, we would want for it to stop probably here if there was one. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful for persons who are still expecting more content down there.
Right. So a couple of things that might be helpful or that might make sense, and that is maybe a intra page nav. But and then maybe a next topic navigator, or and to that extent, maybe even a back. Well, there was one other one. Oh yeah, there was the incident form, which I think that was fairly straightforward. Form. There was some thoughts about combining role description and role responsibility. And if not that, then providing clarity between like community guidelines and role responsibility or role description. There's kind of part and parcel to this, I think, is sort of the notion that there might be a recognition area section, because the badges that's great, like an explanation of badges, and also part of the I guess it kind of falls into like what part of the roles and responsibilities might be is but it is a recognition, so it is membership to the GitHub orgs, and then also community member profile. Some good things. But one question maybe for, I know Josh had to drop, but for Nikhil and Anita is the font that we're using here. Is this a bit, I think this is the only place where we're using this particular style. And I wonder if we wouldn't do well to change it. We're probably using this style because it's a lot of text, but it doesn't match either with this or this. And so
the font is different, right?
yeah, it seems to be.
Yeah, it doesn't fit with the entire page, so we could just change it to the regular one used throughout the page.
Okay, got that. On okay. And we're actually 5 after. Anita, anything else to call out about the handbook?
No. Yeah, just to point. So while we were trying to put together the handbook, a few contributors were concerned whether their names would be written somewhere on the handbooks, implying that they made contributions to this handbook, just so they can, post it and say, yeah, they made contributions to this particular area.
That sounds great. Yeah, do you think it would be as like a last, or yeah, where do you have where do you think that might land? Because
yeah, putting it at the last, yeah, contributors or appreciation. Yeah. I don't know what the heading should be.
That's okay. Yeah. 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 Right. Normally, the first thing you said, like contributors, would work, except the fact that we're like talking about, we're using that word everywhere else, and it gets appreciations. That's pretty good. Like that's been used, other places. Authors, appreciations. The problem with recognition is like, well, we're kind of talking about recognition in some other area. But I think, but irrespective, and maybe irrespective, like that suggestion is like only a good thing. I mean, like, I don't think that, I think like it works out really well as well if the individual's names are hyperlinks to their member profile. Yeah, to their end, or like yeah, that's a great. I mean, maybe to here, which then also, to your point, would get to any of their social profiles.
Yeah.
But I think that really, you'll have to give some thought, if you would, to, is it, like, is it just purely kind of an alphabetical list of a handful of names, or is there some delineation between? Yeah, I don't know. Think about the layout, if you would, because it gets because implicitly whose name comes first, or if it's not in alphabetical order, or what do you mean author versus contributor, or like, and think about that. I would suggest to you that that the less amount of differentiation that you include, maybe the easier it is on.
Yeah. I think we'll just list them either alphabetically or so just list it, and it should be in a vertical form. It looks more organized if it should be in a vertical. Yeah. How about a table-like kind? Just a table of names.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah. Yep. If it's just their name, maybe, and if there's nothing else to put in the table, maybe a list, but either way, yeah, you end up, yeah, it's funny when you give recognition, you end up getting into trouble with like all the considerations around it, but that's great. That's cool. If we don't, yeah, and if we didn't, it's harder. It's harder for people to take pride in things that they can't write their name on. Like it's, and so that's a great suggestion. I'd often thought about having like an Easter egg inside of Meshmap or something where people can click to see all the contributors.
That would actually make a lot of sense. Because recently I was trying to fix a project and I was looking for the contributors to that particular project. And I happened to hit up someone and he said he stopped contributing like 5 years ago, but the person's name was still listed out there. So it will actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause you're right. Exactly. I mean, like that info is actually not too far. It's fairly close at hand, because if the code that, if the project that you're using has code that was written from, I mean, you can get blame, and you can look at who it is that it contributed to that area. And so you can do that programmatically in the code itself. That's a kind of a cool thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad we went through both of those today. This is really nice. This is a lot of work for both of them. So for my part, there's a few things to assist with in terms of some of the content, but Nikhil, it's unfortunate to think that that really pretty console overview, learning path overview card, that we would have to make it generic. It's really nice.
I will update it to generic, or I will check if adding both issue and study side by side makes sense. Hopefully by next week, this meeting, we would have the changes done. But let's see.
Yeah, and be published, right? And be like, yeah, be starting to point it out. I think we should be.
I will add it to the generic learn page as well, so that people can directly jump to that page.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, like a card like this is even almost works as a call out for learning paths.
Right. Yeah.
So nice. Well, it's nice to talk to both of you guys. See you at KubeCon.
Yeah, see you at KubeCon.
Okay, fair enough. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.